1 o'clock. I'm going to start the meeting now, if that's okay with everyone on the board.
It's fine.
All right.
Get off.
Welcome, everyone. My name is Simon Penning. I'm the Associate Counsel at the BMZA, and today I'm filling in for our Executive Director as the acting Executive Director. Ms. Byrne is out today with family issues. So welcome, everyone, to the May 4th, 2021 zoning docket. Before turning it over to the chair, I'd like to explain how WebEx, this software application we're on, functions. If you have signed on via the internet, you are considered an attendee. And right now, you do not have the ability to mute or unmute yourself. If you look at the bottom of your screen, you will see a microphone and camera buttons and a chat feature with other options. You should also be able to see the board and myself on the screen. When your case is called, I will make you a panelist and unmute you. If your camera is functional, you'll be able to turn it on and we'll be able to see you. And you're also able to take control of the screen if you have any exhibits you'd like to share. Attendees who are calling in with their phone and they wish to testify will hear 2 beeps when they become unmuted. If after you hear the 2 beeps, you wish to speak on the issue, please speak right away. If not, I will move on to the next caller. If you are unable to connect via audio, please use the chat feature. If a speaker is inaudible, they will be asked to call back. If you'd like to testify in support or opposition to any of the cases today, there are 2 ways to let me know that you wish to do so. You can do so in the chat feature. Just put a message identifying yourself and the case number that you wish to testify on, and whether you're in support or opposition. Please do not use the Q&A feature of WebEx, as I will not be checking that during the hearing. There is also an ability to raise your hand. You can do that and let me know where you would like to testify. For the testimony, it will be in the following order. First will be the applicant, then anyone in support of the application, followed by opposition testimony, and then finally the applicant will be allowed to speak a second time in rebuttal to any opposition. Anyone speaking before the board is expected to be testifying under oath and will be required to speak the whole truth and nothing but the truth. If you have any issues with technology, such as problems with WebEx or calling in, please call the BMZA office at 410-396-4301. Please do not email me or call me during the hearing because I'll be focused on running it. Finally, if you have any technical difficulties and can't participate for any reason, please email the board immediately asking for a motion for reconsideration, explaining that you had technical difficulties and weren't able to provide the testimony that you were planning. All right, so we have 4 board members for today's hearings. The chair will begin calling cases right after this, and we'll proceed through the entire docket. Your case may not be called in the order that it says on the BMZA website, so please listen carefully. And finally, at the conclusion of the hearing, the chair will close testimony and the board will deliberate on all the matters. No further testimony will be taken at that time and no further comments are allowed. All right, thank you. Let's begin.
Thank you, Mr. Penning. As Mr. Penning mentioned, the board will vote on each case at the end of the docket during the deliberation phase, unless for some reason the board determines that it either needs additional information or there's some other issue which would cause us to defer rendering a decision on that matter. In any event, you are certainly welcome to stay online and listen in those deliberations, otherwise you can call the BMDA office tomorrow morning after 9 a.m. That number is 410-396-4301. Should be receiving your resolution in the mail, regardless of what you do today, within 30 days. We ask that between now and then, you don't do any work till your resolution is received, so you have a final answer. You don't do any work without pulling the proper minutes. We always ask that first order of business. So we have several matters on the consent docket. We'll go through those before we get to those that are on the regular docket. Actually, even before those, I'm going to just identify some cases that were originally on the docket that have been withdrawn or postponed and will not be heard today. And so if you hear this case number or address, and you're here for that, just be aware of that. Those matters will not go forward. First postponed or withdrawn case is 2020-261, 3601 Hickory Avenue. The appellant was Own Church Works, LLC. Again, 2020-261, 3601 Hickory Avenue. Matter is postponed. Next withdrawn or postponed case is 2021-029, 3305 Esther Place. The appellant there is Josh Atkins. Again, 2021-029, 3305 Esther Place. The next matter, which will not be going forward today, case number 2021-036, 3010 Kentucky Avenue. Appellant there is William Holmes. Again, 2021-036, 3010 Kentucky Avenue. Off the docket. And finally, case number 2021-037, 6709 Westbrook Road. The appellant there is Colbert and Rosenfeld. Again, 2021-037, 6709 Westbrook Road. That matter is also postponed. For the consent cases are those matters for which the board has determined that it has sufficient information to grant the appeal. Although when the case is called, we may ask you for additional information, as the case may be. Generally, we will call those matters, be sure that we get any staff or planning reports, and then finally hear from the applicant briefly and resolve those matters on. So I'll call those, begin calling those now, and try to raise you up on the online as quickly as we can. First case on the consent docket, case number 2020-249, 5221 Traymore Road. The appellant is Athan Demetrides. This is a request to erect a 8-foot by 7-foot by 9-foot greenhouse kit on the side yard. I'll hear any staff and/or planning reports.
Only thing from staff is that this is an interior side yard setback variance that will project 8 feet into the required 10 feet required setback.
And Martin French for the Baltimore City Planning Department. Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. French. I hope I'm not butchering your name too terribly. Mr. Eads.
Hello?
Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Okay, and who do we have with us today?
This is Athan Demetrides.
All right, I didn't do too terribly.
No, you didn't.
All right. Mr. Demetrides, you sit here on the consent docket. The sole question I have for you is there anything you'd like to add to your application at this time, sir?
Nothing to add, just looking forward to a positive result and to build a greenhouse.
Very well. The board having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you so much. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
All right. Have a great day.
All right. Bye.
Moving on to the next case on the consent docket, case number 2020-265, 1209 North Calvert Street. The appellant is J&L First Home Improvement, Inc., and this is a request to construct a rear side addition to the dwelling. Are there any staff or planning reports?
From staff, this is a rear yard setback variance. It'll project 9 feet into the required 10 feet. We also received letters in support for 7 neighbors or community residents, and that this property already has CHAP approval.
Planning Department has reviewed this application, noted that this property is in the Mount Vernon Historic District, where CHAP approval, Commission for Historic and Architectural Preservation approval, is required for any alterations to the exterior of any structure. The department recommends approval of the application, subject to the condition that all improvements are completed and maintained in accordance with an authorization to proceed issued by the Commission for Historical and Architectural Preservation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. So, let's see if we have someone from J&L, First Home Improvement.
Yes.
Okay, hello, who do we have here?
This is Johan Funes, contractor, J&L First Home Improvement.
Okay, and you're here on behalf of J&L First Home?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, sir. I'll ask you, sir, is there anything you'd like to add to the application before it's done?
Yes, we've been waiting for this permit for almost over 2 years, and almost 2 years, and we would love for you guys to give us the okay for us, to for the setback. We are being, talking to neighbors around, and there seems okay, for us to build, to do the addition. So I would love for you guys to help us on that situation to get the permit.
Well, I think we'll be able to help you out today with that, sir. So with that, I can tell you that the board, having heard your appeal, I believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. So it looks like you guys will be good to go once you receive your resolution in the mail, okay?
Thank you very much.
All right.
Everything.
Thank you, and you have a great day. Good luck.
Either. Bye-bye.
Moving on to the next case on the consent docket, case number 2021-015, 611 South Fagley Street. The appellant is Aiden Zemare, and this is a request to construct a 2-story rear addition and develop 8 dwelling units. Hear from staff and planning before we get Mr. Zemare on the line.
Yes. So this is looking for 3 different variances. First, to use the property as a multifamily dwelling with 8 dwelling units. Second, a variance to the minimum rear yard setback. There's 20 feet required and 0 is proposed, but we do note that the structure is existing and currently extends all the way to the rear lot line. And finally, I believe the appellant will be amending their application on the record to include an off-street parking variance of 3 parking spaces.
Thank you. Planning Department reviewed this application, noted that this property is located in the Highlandtown Business Area Urban Renewal Plan area. That particular urban renewal plan includes standards and requirements for new construction, and the applicant is encouraged to continue working with the community review board established by that plan and with this planning department, prepare approvable plans for the proposed addition to the existing structure, as well as for its residential reuse. The department recommends approval of this application, subject to the condition that all building additions and renovations are completed in accordance with plans approved by the community and the Department of Planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fred.
All right, let me see. I don't see the applicant's names. Let me go through the call-in users. Hello, are you here for 611 South Fagley Street? Hello, are you here for 611 South Fagley Street?
No.
Thank you. Hello, are you here for 611 South Fagley Street?
Oh, in North Lexington Street.
Okay, thank you. Hello, are you here for the 611 South Fagley?
No.
Oh, never mind. I see that we have Mr. Preble.
Yes, good afternoon,
Good
Mr. Penning,
afternoon.
Chairman. Thank you.
How you doing, Mr. Pruddle? You're here for 611 South Fagley Street?
That is correct. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Mr. Don Somrit.
Awesome. So you are on the consent docket. However, I understand there's going to be a slight amendment to the application today regarding off-street parking variance.
Yes, in a way, and if I could just clarify a couple things. First, it's my understanding we're not asking for a minimum lot area variance. I believe the lot allows 10 dwelling units by right. We're asking for 8. And as part of that application, the plans really have not changed. And there's really initially we planned to provide 8 off-street parking spots. After meeting with the community and the planning department, there may be concerns that not of all of those may be considered legal parking spaces. And so it's not a change in the plans, but want to make sure that, a variance of 3 spaces is included as part of this request, just to make sure that, we're not back here in 2 months when they're getting the building permit. And I should mention that the applicant has been working with both the Brewers Hill Community Association as well as the Highlandtown Main Streets under the Southeast CDC, which is a requirement of the urban renewal plan. But in this, for some of the board members may remember the restaurant Eichenkrantz, and this is the former location of that. And I believe everyone's excited to see this project move forward.
Okay. And so, Mr. Penning, we can note that 3 spaces for the parking variance is now a part of the record, as part of.
Very good.
And so, Mr. Pruddle, the good news is, again, you're on the consent docket, and with that clarification on the parking variance inclusion, I can tell you that the board, having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. So you guys will be good to go once you receive your resolution.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Hey, Mr. Chairman, is anyone else having problems with the internet?
Are you going in and out, Bill?
Yeah, but I got bounced out completely.
It's all good on my end, but
Okay, let's hope for the best.
Bill, that was me. That was me last week. Maybe it's jumping.
Hang in there, guys. Moving on to the next matter on the consent docket, case number 2021-028, 511 South Central, maybe Avenue. The appellant is Stephen Fogelman, and this is a request to add live entertainment to existing restaurant with outdoor dining at portion known as 1100 Fleet Street, number 1302. An amendment to this one as well. I'll hear from staff and planning.
all right. So this is a conditional board approval to use the premises for live entertainment. And just noting that the appeal was granted by the board in 2014 to use the premises as a restaurant with outdoor table service. At that time, it was subject to the condition that there will be no outdoor music or live entertainment.
Planning Department reviewed this application. The department notes that there are very specific requirements about live entertainment. And most specifically, this property is located in the C2 zoning district, in which indoor live entertainment is not a permitted use. The department noted that the application indicated a decibel level of 115 decibels at 10 feet from the property. The department believes 80 decibels at that same distance would be more appropriate as a sound level, maximum sound level. The application also stated operating hours for the restaurant would end at 11 p.m. Monday through Wednesday, while live entertainment would extend till 2 a.m. The department believes this is basically, and on other days, a similar problem. Given that live entertainment as a principal use is prohibited in the C2 district, the department believes hours of live entertainment should not extend beyond operating hours of the restaurant to which the live entertainment is accessory. Therefore, the department recommends approval of the application subject to these conditions, in addition to any other conditions the board may establish. Sound level would be limited to 80 decibels at a distance of 10 feet from the structure. Live entertainment ends when restaurant operating hours end. Copy of the use and occupancy permit for the premises must be kept on the premises and available for inspection by representatives of Baltimore City at all times. A copy of the written approval by the board of the live entertainment provided on the premises, including details of any restrictions or limitations on the live entertainment provided, must be kept on the premises and available for inspection by representatives of Baltimore City at all times. A copy of all other permits and licenses required pursuant to the written approval of the board must be kept on the premises and available for inspection by representatives of Baltimore City at all times. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. French. Okay, you have Mr. Fogelman? Yes.
I have a Chris Simon, I believe, is here for this. Mr. Simon?
Yes.
Hi.
Hello.
You're here for 511 South Central, sir?
Yes.
Okay. Were you present? Did you hear the statements by Mr. French of the Planning Department regarding the conditions securing
Yes.
planning approval?
Yes, and we agree to those.
Okay. Very well. I guess, Mr. Petty, we can note that for the record that the applicant is
So
those
noted.
are the conditions being presented to the board. And
Yep.
given that, is there anything else you'd like to add to the application at this time, sir?
No, that's it.
Well, the board, having heard your appeal and with the updated information that we now have, which is now part of the record and part of your application, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal request.
Sorry, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
Looks like we actually do have the applicant himself on as well, so I'm just going to give him a chance to.
Sure.
Mr. Fogelman?
Yes, thank you
Hi.
very much.
How
Hi.
you doing?
Very well. It's good to see you all in any form. It's been too long. I'm trying to turn my video on, but it's not necessary. Honorable Chair, honorable members, again, it's a pleasure to be back in front of you. I am here with, or actually my client, you've already spoken to. He is the owner, along with his partner, Jada McCrae. New restaurant. It's 100% Black owned. It's going to be a fantastic place. And specifically, we have agreed, Mr. French and I spoke yesterday, that live entertainment ends when the restaurant closes. And that, again, 80 decibels at 10 feet is more than reasonable. And my client has approved that. And then finally, we'll keep the use and occupancy and the BMZA resolution on the premises at all times. So again, thank you, Mr. French, and thank you again, honorable members of the board.
Thank you, Mr. Fogel. I appreciate you appearing before us. So, okay, we have the applicant agreeing to all those conditions. And again, the board having heard the appeal for 2021-028, have sufficient information to approve that appeal. So that will conclude that matter. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to the next matter on the consent docket, case number 2021-030, 3843 Quarry Avenue. The applicant is Daryl Long, and this is a request to construct an 18-foot by 24-foot shed in the rear of the premises. Hear any reports we may have from staff or planning?
Yes, Mr. Chair. So this is a application to construct a shed in the backyard, and to do so, they're requesting 3 variances. First, a minimum rear yard setback variance. 25 feet are required by the code and 6 feet are proposed. A minimum interior yard setback variance, 15 feet are required and 2 are proposed. And then finally, a maximum lot coverage, lot area coverage variance for the detached dwelling. A maximum 35% of the gross lot area is allowed and 42% is proposed.
Planning Department has no comment on this application. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. French. Do we have Mr. Long?
I have Mr. Long and unmuting him now. Mr. Long?
Yes, thank you for listening to me. I hope you can hear me okay. There's a music class that's going on, so if you can't hear me, please let me know.
We absolutely can, Mr. Long.
Okay,
and,
wonderful. Yeah,
wanna-
so this is this shed is for our storage for our school, and we own that property there. And so we were hoping for that 6 foot there so we can pull a vehicle off, but it doesn't encroach in our yard too much. So pull a vehicle off the alley, and also leave room to go around the side of the shed. We appreciate you guys and what you're doing. And I didn't realize how much this was going to entail when I proposed this plan, but I've got some gentlemen who care about the school and would like to donate time and material to construct this building. So hence I am presenting it to you guys as such.
Awesome. We appreciate that, and we applaud the folks who are willing to lend a hand and lend their resources. And the good news is, since you're on the consent docket, board having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve it.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
So, well, good luck to you and to your school as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Be safe.
Thank you. Okay. Moving on. Next matter on the consent docket, case number 2021-031, 4100 Chesley Avenue. The appellant is Amelia Hurley, and this is a request to construct a fence that will be 6 foot in height. Ready?
The staff just notes that 2 variances are being requested. First, for a minimum corner side yard setback variance. 20 feet are required, 5 feet are being proposed. And a fence height variance, 3.5 feet are allowed on the corner side and 6 feet of height are proposed.
Planning Department reviewed this application and has no comment. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Ms. Hurley?
Yes.
Hi.
Good afternoon, Ms. Hurley. You're here for 4100 Chesley Avenue?
Yes, I am.
All right, ma'am. Is there anything, what's the purpose of the fence height?
It's not the entire side of the house. It's the back portion of the house.
Mm-hmm.
And that is where my child plays, who's almost 3, and we have a puppy as well.
Okay.
So we'd like it for privacy and safety.
Sure. Very well. Well, the board having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Yes, thank you very much.
So,
Can you guys hear me?
We can, Bill.
Okay, I got bounced out again.
All right, we were just almost wrapping up 2021-031, 4100 Chesley Avenue.
I heard the end. Thank you.
Okay, all right. So we've heard from Ms. Hurley. Again, Ms. Hurley, the board having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am.
Have a good day.
You all can see I've been frozen in time for some time now, so I'll just let it ride. I'll stay.
Your audio is fine.
Yeah. Moving on, next matter is on the consent docket, case number 2021-032, 1113 Monroe Circle. The appellant here is South Baltimore Community Land Trust, Inc., care of Mr. Justin Williams. And this is a request to construct a 2.5-story multifamily dwelling that will consist of 2 dwelling units. Here from staff and planning.
So staff has it looks like it's just 1 variance requested for the interior side yard setback 15 feet is required, and it will project 5 feet into that required setback. And then I just have a note that Mr. Williams is planning to introduce an amended site plan on the record. So I'll unmute him now. Mr. Williams, can you hear?
I can, thank you. And good afternoon, members of the board. Start my video too.
Mr. Williams, hang on 1 second, if you would. Just want to, Mr. French, is there anything you'd like to add at this time?
Oh, sorry.
No problem.
Oh, Planning Department reviewed the application, has no comment. This, we believe, is a part of the larger redevelopment of that area, which the board heard either at its last meeting or the meeting before that on Inner Circle and Monroe Circle.
Very well, thank you.
And
Go ahead, Mr.
sorry,
Williams.
Mr. Chair, I also have a letter of support from Councilwoman Porter as well.
Terrific. Thank you, Mr. Penning. Mr. Williams, go ahead. Sorry to cut you off, sir.
No worries. And I guess, Mr. Penning, would you let me share the screen so I can show the amended plan to the board?
Sure.
And while I was doing that, for the record, Justin Williams from the law firm Rosenfeld, Martin Greenberg. I'm here virtually joined by Melanie Thomas from the South Baltimore Community Land Trust. As Mr. French mentioned, this is part of a larger redevelopment project that the Land Trust has been working on for several years now. The board heard an appeal a month and a half ago for a 6-unit building and a 2-unit building down the block. So this would be phase 2. I just want to show you the one change to our application and ideally get your blessing to approve it on the record. Initially, the plan submitted to the board is here, if you can see on the screen. It called for the 2-unit dwelling. It's a larger lot, but it'd be a 2-unit dwelling that would functionally look like a duplex, but it'd be 2 rental units on one lot. And the proposal initially was for 2 parking spaces to be in the front, and the variance requested, as Mr. Penning mentioned, were for side yard setbacks. But after doing some investigation with the property, the topography in the rear is more extreme than initially anticipated. So that forces the building to go forward. And the current plan is now shown here. And I provided these exhibits to Mr. Penning. The building has moved forward several feet, which removes the space in the lot for off-street parking. In a moment, I'll show you photos that show there's plenty of parking in the vicinity. And there's the shape of the lot drives the need for the variances. There's a rear yard. Actually, in this area down here, you can see there's a retaining wall proposed now, which forces the home up towards Monroe Circle, and the side yards is where there will be stormwater management treatment. And yep, and you can see in the Google Earth photos here, there's plenty of space on either side of the street for off-street parking, so we don't think that'll be an issue. And as Mr. French mentioned, this is part of a larger project and has the support of the community and has a lot of support from Councilwoman Porter. So for those reasons, we ask you to approve the requested variances.
Very well. Thank you, Mr. Williams, for that additional input. The amendment and the site plan, as you mentioned, is now part of the record. Still on the consent docket. The board, having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your. Thank you for your presentation.
Thank you very much.
Moving on. Next matter. We have case number 2021-034, 241 North Milton Avenue. The appellant is Arnold Venable. This is a request to use a portion of the premises for retail, used furniture, appliance sales, and moving and hauling company Oh, I believe that is being amended on the record as well. And we'll hear from planning. Ready to report.
So this is a request to, as the chair noted, that the applicant is amending this appeal to become a neighborhood commercial establishment with a retail goods establishment or office inside. And that is allowed as a conditional approval by the board.
Thank you.
Okay, planning department basically noted the same issue. This property is in the R8 zoning district. Neighborhood commercial establishments are possible. This particular property is one which qualifies for neighborhood commercial establishment uses. However, the reference to a moving and hauling company was one that obviously would be a commercial use that would not be allowed in a neighborhood commercial establishment itself. However, an office is a permitted use inside a neighborhood commercial establishment designation. The Department of Planning has no objection to the application if the proposed use would include an office for a moving and hauling business, but would not recommend approval of a moving and hauling business per se. And I think that's being covered by BMZA staff as well. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mr. Wright.
I have the applicant on the line. Unmute them. Hello, can you hear us?
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Doing well.
Good afternoon. Is this Mr. Venable?
Yes, sir. This is Mr. Venable.
Good afternoon, sir. Mr. Venable, could you hear the information provided by staff and Mr. French from planning regarding the approvability of an office for a moving and hauling company, but not a moving and hauling company per se?
Yeah, I did understand. I kind of understood it, but if you can explain it a little bit more so I can get a better understanding of what he was explaining, I'm a little lost of it.
Well, so the code does not permit, and the zoning does not permit you to operate a moving and hauling business in that location, but it does allow you to maintain an office that will assist the operation of a moving and hauling business elsewhere. So the office use would be a permitted neighborhood commercial establishment under the zoning code that we could approve, but we cannot approve you operating a moving and hauling business.
Okay.
Understand the distinction? I believe that the staff and planning, having looked at what you're intending to do, that it fit more, it aligned more with being an office that is supportive of a moving and hauling business. Is that fair to say, Mr. Penning?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
So that's what we have on the record before us. If that's how you're intending to go forward, I think we can be of assistance. So we can establish that amendment on the record, which I think we have, and then the board finds that it has sufficient information to approve your appeal.
Okay, yes, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, now keep in mind, you're strictly prohibited from hereafter operating a moving and hauling business at that location, but you certainly may maintain your office to assist that business elsewhere. Okay?
Okay, that's fine.
Okay. And again, the board having heard your appeal, we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you, Mr. Beverage.
All right, thank you.
Okay, jump down to case number 2021-038, 3400 Pulaski Highway. The appellant is Colbert Rosenfeld, and this is a request to alter the existing restaurant for use as a drive-through facility. I'll hear from staff and/or planning.
Yeah, if anyone's here for this, please type into the chat function or raise your hand so I can unmute you in a second. This is an application to add a drive-through to an existing restaurant in a C3, and it requires conditional board approval.
Planning Department has reviewed this application, noted that this particular property's site plan for the proposed drive-through facility was approved with comments by the Site Plan Review Committee on September 16th of 2020. The applicant followed up with a revised plan which met the SPRC comments in October of 2020. Department of Planning therefore recommends approval of this application be subject to the condition that all improvements and related landscaping are constructed and maintained in accordance with the site plan approved by the Department of Planning. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. French.
I have Alisa Hertzmark here for this. It's Hertzmark?
Hi, can you hear me?
We sure can, Ms. Hertzmark. Welcome.
Hi.
Is Mr. French just stated, I guess, the obvious condition that all improvements be in accordance with the site plan approved by the Department of Planning. Is your client in agreement with those conditions?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add to your application at this time?
Not at this time.
Very well. The board, having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your appeal. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And the final case on the consent docket is case number 2021-057, 2330 North Howard Street. The applicant is Tamika Barber. This is a request to use the premises as a banquet hall and for kids camps during summertime. I think we'll be getting hopefully a little more information from Barber. But in the meantime, we'll hear from staff and planning for the report.
Nothing from staff other than this request to use as a banquet hall requires conditional approval by the board.
Planning Department has no particular comment on this application, but would encourage the applicant to give more detail about the operation of the proposed banquet hall. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. French.
Hi, is anyone here for this address? Please type in the chat or raise a hand, or I'll go through the call-in users. Start going through the call-in users. Hi, are you here for this property? Hello, are you here for 2330 North Howard? Hello, are you here for 2330 North Howard? Hello, are you here for 2330 North Howard? Hello, are you here for 2330 North Howard?
No.
Hello, are you here for 2330 North Howard? Hello, are you here for 2330 North Howard? Hello, are you here for 2330 North Howard? Hello, are you here for 2330 North Howard?
No.
Thank you. Hello, are you here for 2330 North Howard? Hello, are you here for 2330 North Howard? Hello, are you here for 233? Yes? Oh, the
Yes,
last
how you
one.
doing?
Okay. Hey. Hi there.
Great.
I kept saying hello. Yes, can you hear me?
You're it.
How you guys
This is-
doing today?
Doing well. Is this Miss Barber?
Yes, sir, it is Miss Barber.
Okay. Welcome. So we're here for, as we all know, 2330 Howard Street. This is a request to use the premises as a banquet hall and for kids camps during the summertime. Ms. Barber, could you share with us a bit more detail about your plans for the use of the premises in this manner?
Well, the use of the premises for people to rent the premises to have baby showers, birthday parties, bar mitzvahs, weddings, anything of that sort of nature. not as a club, but as a venue to rent for parties, where they serve food and they bring their own decorative.
Is there a kitchen? Is there a kitchen on site?
No. They cannot cook food here. They can bring
Okay.
their own food, like to cook on like a Bunsen burner to keep the food warm. But there's not
Sure.
there's no kitchen here.
Okay.
So basically, it's like a big open space where they can come and decorate and perform their party services here.
Mr.
So it's
French, is there
basically
any?
an event hall.
Okay. Mr. French, is there any additional detail that would be helpful to planning?
No, I think that would be fine. Thank you very much.
Very well.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to know how the kids' camps fit in.
Great question.
Well, I had a couple of people inquire about renting the space for the summertime to rent it out for their camp area because it's a big space. So I just wanted to have that on there as an additional to be able to rent out the space for that as well.
Ms. Barber, would that space include any outdoor portion of that premises?
No.
All right, so you're not intending to offer the space for use in any outside
No.
portion of it?
No.
Okay.
No, sir.
Great.
The outside portion is just a parking lot.
Okay. Well, very well. Well, if there are no more questions or inquiries from the board, and with the additional information you provided, the board having heard your appeal, we believe we have sufficient information to approve your.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Luck to you.
All right. Thank you. Have a blessed day.
Thank you. Great. Well, that should conclude our consent docket. Is that correct, Mr. Penning? My own point there.
That is correct.
Now we're going to turn our attention to the regular docket. I'll just say this as a general matter. To the extent we have matters that have opposition and that might have some significant opposition, just want to ask you to be mindful of the testimony that goes before your opportunity to speak, so that we're not duplicating testimony. To the extent an issue is raised, such as safety or parking or some other type of identifiable issue, we really only need to hear that once, and we can certainly do that on the record without, again, the rep of those same points. Don't know if we have that today, but just want. So, Paul, first case on the regular docket, case number 2020-050, 200 North Monroe Street. The appellant is Daniel Bissey. This is a request to continue to use the premises, the ground floor of the premises, as a grocery store, and or as one dwelling unit. Now here, staff reports from staff and planning. I think we have a little bit of background on this one, Mr. Ping.
Yes, so as the chair noted, this is a conditional approval to use the ground floor as a neighborhood commercial establishment for a retail goods establishment with no alcoholic beverage sales. This case has been called a few times now. There were some issues with posting earlier, and then it was called at our last hearing to give the appellant and the community a chance to speak and see if they were able to work through their differences on their own. So it looks like we have the appellant on the line, as well as a couple people opposed to the proposed use.
Anything from you today, Mr. French, on this?
Okay, yes. I am quoting basically from the memo which the planning department filed on March the 12th of 2020, because that's how long this appeal has been pending a decision. The request was for a neighborhood commercial establishment, and specifically for a type of retail store. However, what concerned the department was that the floor plan filed with that application was titled Pizza Carryout. And a carry-out food shop is a prohibited use in the R7 zoning district. It is also not authorized to be a type of neighborhood commercial establishment. And as an automobile-oriented use, it is also something that the department would not be in support of in this particular location. The department therefore recommended that approval of this application be granted only if there is no carry-out food shop created in connection with the retail goods establishment with no alcoholic beverage sales for which the approval is being requested. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. French, for that clarification.
All right, so the first person we have is Daniel Bissey, who's the appellant. I'm going to unmute him now.
Hello?
Hello.
Good afternoon, Mr. Bissey.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing okay. So the last time you were with us, I think we gave you the opportunity to, given what was before us at the time, to go back and have some discussion with community members to see if some of the differences could be hashed out and managed and reach any kind of agreements. Did you have an opportunity, and did you take advantage of the opportunity to have any discussions with the members of the community since the time we last talked?
Yeah, I have tried to speak to people from the church, and I spoke to some people from the member of community, and some people from the church, they're scared. They say they don't want the store to bring violence in the neighborhood. And I told them, if I open the store, I have a store just around the corner on 1700 Baltimore Street. So I have police come in the store every hour to sign the book and make sure everything's okay. And I have a safe system I'm gonna bring back to the new store. So, and I have put a lot of camera outside. I told them everything already. So I have put camera outside for police. They come and check, and they have access to everything in the store. So I have explained to them, but some people like, some people still doesn't like. So I just don't know.
What is the status of that building? Is there any activity going on in there right now?
No, in the building is nothing. I'm just waiting for the approval. I'm not doing anything right now until this process get over. So I just set up everything, but it's nothing open. It's like a close right now.
Okay. All right. Well, unless there's not anything else you'd like to add, we'll hear from the other folks. I take it the opposition.
Yeah, the only thing I would like to add.
I have a question before we move on.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Bissey, the last time that you were here, it was so that you could have conversations with the community, and I want to know if you had them, and if not, like what kind of efforts you meant to you guys, because I know that Miss Byrne was going to connect you all through email. So I just want to know what's the status of that. Like, what are the conversations you had with the community?
Yeah, I have received an email to speak to someone, and I had a phone number. I spoke to her, and I explained to her everything I would try to bring to the community. And she said she would speak to a church member. And I called her yesterday, and she told me she spoke to some people from the church, and they didn't like the store to be open. That's what she told me. And I have spoke to other people in the neighborhood, and they said some people from the neighborhood go to my other store and they buy things because Sunday is no store open in the area. So they walk to my other store to buy, and sometimes they really don't want to work because they want store close to where they live. So that's why they said to me. So I said, okay, anyway, if somebody want to call, they can call today, and they, have chance to speak, and they see what happened.
So you didn't have like a sit down meeting where you guys negotiated terms that would work for you and terms that would work for the people in the community?
I didn't have to sit down talking to the church people because when I called the lady, she said she has to talk to people in the church, and she will let me know. But I had spoke to some neighbor and talked to them about it. They said the thing is a good idea. So I have asked them if they can call today and say something about it. I don't know if they have called or not. I don't know.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Bissey, Do you have any documentation as to who you spoke with? And did you speak to any people from the neighborhood association?
But the neighborhood association, I had spoke to somebody. The name is Wilson Robert, Robert Wilson. So he live around the corner from the store. His name is Robert Wilson.
What neighborhood association does he represent?
And he told me he's member of a church, and the church has something to do with the community. So that's what he told me. But I don't know if he's a community member. I don't know really.
You keep referencing the church. We asked you to get in touch with members of the community association, and you said you would do that. So who did you get in touch with, and what did they have to say? Not the church, the community association.
Yeah, the person I had spoke, his name is Wilson Robert, and he told me he didn't tell me like is a community. Because I didn't see any people like a community member. I have to stop. That's why I went to some neighbor and they asked them about it.
Didn't Ms. Burns put you in touch with the actual community association and you were asked to speak to them?
I think she was from the church.
I know you keep referencing the church. I'm talking about something else. I'm talking about the neighborhood association.
Sir, to be honest with you, I don't know any neighbor association over there. Maybe it might be, I don't know.
I'll take that as a no then. And while we're at it, I'm looking in the paperwork that we have, where I have anyway, and I see what looks like a backyard full of trash bags and stuff. Is that your property?
No, that's not my property. I don't. I didn't. It's not even open yet. And everything.
This packet that I'm looking at. Can anybody tell me?
Say it again.
I'm looking at photos.
I can shed some light on that. That was submitted by one of the women who I believe is here to testify. That was sent this week. She said she took that photo showing all the trash in the backyard and the HVAC unit.
And that's
maybe somebody put those trash back over there, because I don't even have no trash back over there. Maybe somebody did it.
Okay, you know what? We'll end up pulling that up, and the person who took the photo can speak to it. We'll hear. If you say you have no information, or you know what photo we're talking about, Mr. Bissy?
No, I don't know which photo they're talking about. I don't know.
Okay, well, we'll pull it up.
Thank you.
If we can go ahead and hear from the other folks, Mr. Penning.
Alrighty. I know that Miss Claiborne is here for that, so I'm going to unmute her. No, she's not. All right, if anyone is here for this matter, please enter something in the chat or raise your hand. Otherwise, I'm going to go through the call-in users. I know Nate Predel is working with some members in the community, so I'm going to let him go first. Mr. Predel?
Good afternoon, Mr. Penning. If it's all right, yeah, I do have a few words to say. I would prefer to do it. I know Miss Lavinia Ricoeur is here on the phone, and Miss Claiborne, I believe, is signed in as well. If you can't get in, if we can't get them speaking, I'm happy to go, but I would prefer you to let them speak first, if that's okay.
Okay, yeah, something's going on with Miss Claiborne, and I'm not able to let her in, so if she can hear me, maybe try calling in, but I'm going to go through the call-in users now. Hi, are you here for 200 North Monroe? Hello, are you here for 200
Hello?
North Monroe? Hi.
Yes, that's Monroe in Lexington.
I believe
Hello?
that is the cross street. It's 200 North Monroe.
Right. For the quick mark,
Yes.
yes, I was
Sir,
calling
can
in
you
for that.
please tell us your name and spell it out for us, please?
Yes, I said, good afternoon to all the members of the board. And my name is Minister Robert Wilson. I'm a member in the community up here, North Monroe Street in Lexington. I was calling in for my friend Daniel for the quick mark.
Okay, very good.
And I was letting you know that we are the seniors up here. We need another store open. On Sundays, there is no store open. When we come out of the church in different places, that the seniors got to walk 3 or 4 blocks. We need a store open. And this man is qualified. He keeps a nice store down on Baltimore Street. They're pleasant to work with. And I'm 71 years old, and I can't be walking up and down the streets. So we need a store in this area. So I'm asking your blessing. Could y'all help the community, help us out, that this man will get this store?
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you. God bless you.
All right.
I thought he was employee because I walked by the desk and all the stuff's going on.
Hello?
Okay.
Miss Claiborne?
Yes.
Hi, Miss Claiborne, go ahead.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm calling in with some concerns that these people were working without a permit, and they were making all kinds of noise, banging on my walls. I had to go over there a couple of times at night to ask them to stop. And as far as that picture of the trash in the yard, that is definitely the right yard because you can see it. You can see it through the fence. So I don't know why he wouldn't know that. And see, when this store was open, this corner has a history of drug activity and prostitution. And, you know, I've seen a few fights. I've seen a lot of things happening, people pulling up. And I believe they're pulling up and coming back and forth buying drugs. And, you know, it's hazardous. It's unpleasant for the residents and pedestrians, you know, that live around here and travel around here. It's been much quieter since the store's been closed. I haven't seen a lot of that going on since the store was closed.
How long's the store been closed, ma'am, based on your knowledge?
I'm not exactly sure, but it used to be a store there, and they moved to another location. It's been over a year. I'm not sure of the exact date, but it's, you know, it's been much, much quieter since they left, since the store is closed.
Do you know anything about this particular operator in terms of other operations that he may run? Store operations?
No, I don't. He mentioned he has a store in Baltimore, but I've never been to that store. So I don't know anything in reference to how he operates.
Okay, thank you.
But I know that, you know, they did have a notice for putting up a structure with no permit, which is still there.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Not seeing any more raised hands, so I'm going to go through the call-in users one by one. Hi, are you here for 200 North Monroe? Hello, 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 are you here for 200 North Monroe?
Yes, I am.
Hi. Can you tell us your
Hi.
name and spell it for the record, please?
My name is Lavinia Requier, Lavinia. Last name is Requuer.
Thank you, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Mr. Chair, are you there?
Hello?
Hello.
Hi,
Can you hear
sorry.
me? Go ahead.
Go ahead, Ben.
Oh, representing the 1900 block of Lexington Street. Mr. I can't pronounce his name. He called me. I'm Lavinia. He called me right after the meeting last week and asked me a bunch of questions. I told him I would talk to the community. I would get us a room at the church. Call me Monday. I will give you a date when you can meet with the community and the church members. He did not call me again until last night. Now, I don't know what he thought I was going to do last night, but I've been fighting this fight for 2 years, and I'm not trying to give it up now. He's working without a permit. I took those pictures. He has a 6-foot security fence around the yard. I went up on somebody's porch and put my camera over the fence and took those pictures. They are in his yard. There's a box of trash outside the yard. There's an old toilet in the bag, in the box outside the yard. And yes, he's working without a permit. He has not tried to reach out to anyone. And the man that talked to him from the church, I'm 67 years old. I was born and raised on Lexington Street. It's nobody around there I don't know. Never heard of him. Never heard of him. And as far as his store, he's lying. I went to visit his store. I sat there for 3 hours. Not once did I see a police officer go in there and sign a book. And he's talking about all these security cameras. He's got 2 little cameras at that store. He's coming in with a bunch of lies. Why should we trust him to do anything different? I don't want him there. The community don't want him there. We don't want that store open, not just to him, but to nobody. It's a bad corner. And this man got me so upset because he comes on here week after week, lie after lie. He couldn't tell y'all nothing about the community association because he hasn't reached out to anyone. I'm the only
Ma'am, let me
person
ask
he
you,
called.
what is the appropriate, what is the local community association? Who is it? Which association is it? What's the name of the community association?
It's the, wait a minute. Oh my God.
Well, if we can't get the if we can't get the name, then what I'm getting at is, are you a member, or has the community association itself weighed in regarding this store? Because I don't believe we've heard from them formally.
Excuse me?
I don't believe we've heard from them formally by way of letter or anything else, unless I'm wrong, Mr. Penny. Do you have any history of that?
Nothing in
We
the
are the
record.
members
No.
of. No, what I'm trying to tell you is the members of our neighborhood, the surrounding neighborhood, we all work together. The people in our neighborhood are still elderly people. They can't really go to those meetings. A lot of people work at night. They can't go to those meetings because the meetings are in the evening. But we stick together as a community. And it's been a community that's been fighting this fight. And he has not once done what y'all asked him to do. But we've done what we're supposed to do. And I've been doing it for 2 years. That store has been closed for 2 years. And he's lying. He got me so upset. He just keeps talking like nobody knows him. He hasn't reached out to anybody. He hasn't walked that block and knocked on nobody's door. He hasn't gotten signatures from people. He's done none of that. I told him I would do it, and call me, and I will give you a date and a time where we can have the meeting, because I had arranged to get the meeting room in the basement of the church. He didn't call me again until yesterday, asking me what did they say. I'm like, I can't tell you what nobody say. I can only speak for me. He's trouble. He is trouble. I don't know
Let me ask
about
you
else
this.
say, but in the community, we do not want that store open.
All right, well, again, because we haven't heard from the community, we're hearing from you, and that's why my question went to who is the community and what position has the community taken? But
as a community, we're working as a community. The
I understand
neighborhood.
that, ma'am. My question is, who are the representatives of the community? Again, we've heard from you, we've spoken with other folks, but we don't have anything formal from the community.
I represent my community.
Okay, and are you? Just let me make sure you're clear about my distinction. You know, there are community associations, and they have a hierarchy and they have officers. I'm just trying to confirm whether or not you are a member of.
No, I'm not. No, I am not.
Okay.
But that's neither here nor there. He hasn't done what y'all asked.
It is for purposes of my question. Because I want to know what the community ma'am, one at a time. I want to know what community associations cover that area and whether or not they have a position that we have not heard. Because to date, we haven't been given anything by any of those community organizations. So I just want to be clear as to whether they exist and who may be, a part of them.
They do exist. I have that information for you in like one phone call. But I'm just saying, he's not doing what he said. He didn't post signs for the people.
Okay, so the other question is, is that store visible to you from where you live, or do you come by that store every day?
Visible. I sit right on the step and look at it.
Okay, have you seen any activity at that location? Merchant activity?
Work at that store. Yes, I have. They work in that store. That's why all the garbage is in the backyard from stuff they have pulled out of the store, and it's all thrown in the backyard. I can look right at the store, right there, 4 doors from the store on the other side of the street.
Okay, can you confirm that the store is not operating right now?
The store is not open. No,
Okay.
It's not open.
Right. Okay. Are there any other questions of Ms. Braquier from the board?
What do we have? Do I need to get in touch with anybody else? Is there anything else I need to do?
Well, ma'am, we're here on the second hearing or maybe third time, but to the extent anybody has anything they want to put on the record, we would request, ahead of time that they send that in or provide that. That's why I'm asking. And we don't have it now, and so I was asking, if you're a part of that community association that we haven't heard from. So I think the record is what it is.
If you can give me a day, I can get it to you. I mean, you gave him 2 years.
Well, we're here on the hearing now, so we'll consider the record as it's been, as it's been generated. So thank you for your comments. Do we have anyone else? I know Mr. Prettle was waiting to be heard.
Got a few more call-in users, so let me just check those real quick. Hello, are you here from 200 North Monroe Street?
Yes, I am.
Hi, can you please state your name and spell it for the record?
M-E-R-I-O-N.
Sorry, ma'am, is there someone else in the room speaking? It's kind of difficult to understand you.
I do apologize. I had you on the speaker.
Ah,
part
much
of the
better,
phone.
much
But
better.
I do apologize. Let me go back over it. First, I'd like to say good afternoon to all of you. My name is Marion, Marion. The last name is Turner, Turner. I'm 71 years old. I have been a resident of this community since I was 5 years old. I have one son. He is an attorney. I graduated with the, but I do want to say this to you about Mr. Bissy and Mr. Bissy's store and Mr. Bissy's store on Baltimore Street and him wanting to open this store. There is community associations. One is the Payson Monroe Community Association. This community works with Bond Secure, LifeBridge. We have worked with the Central Baptist Church, St. James United Methodist Church. I'm a member. My brother is also a pastor of another church in the same denomination. There have been several investigations that we have done since the last hearing. And I'm going to say this to you. This is not a good fit for our community. Every store that has been on that corner has either relocated or it's been shut down. Now, I'm going to tell you about Mr. Bissy. Mr. Bissy, and I walk past that store every day. Every day. I can see that store. He is not being truthful with the zoning board. He is not being truthful with the zoning board. I've sent packets of pictures. I gotten an email from Mrs. Burns asking had he reached out to the community, to me, to anyone. He did not do that. Mr. Bissy has no respect for the people or the community. We have a daily fight all the time in keeping our community clean, keeping people off the corners, stopping the drugs. And I'm going to tell you, that corner has been a success since the store is not there. Now, I heard the gentleman who said he was a reverend. I don't know if he's a reverend or not. I'm not here to question anybody's credibility but the owner. But I will tell you this. We have 8 stores within walking distance of that community, and they do open on Sundays. Some are very respectful, and they won't open up until after 1 p.m. because of the church services. We have a West Side shopping center that has a full market, Food Depot, a Dollar Tree. So for him, and let me say this to you, no one is walking from Lexington and Monroe, Payson and Monroe, down to his store, which would be a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 walking distance a block, especially to that area where it is not safe. Now, I did an investigation. I went down to his store. I sit there. I sent the picture of the car. I did not see one police officer go to that store every hour on the hour. I called the Western Police District. I asked them. I spoke with a major. He said, no, we go around to the stores once and we ask them, is everything okay? And we have a book that we carry, and if they say everything is fine, we say yes. I said, do you have this store at 170305 have his cameras hooked up to the Baltimore City Police Department? No, the answer was no. The answer was no. Now, he has no respect for the community.
And I have to say for the director Burns, she really did bend over backwards to email him. He'll tell you he doesn't speak English. He has people inside. He's inside that store, and other people are inside that store. Now, let me tell you the type of people he talked to when he talked before this even came up, and we didn't even know because he hadn't posted the signs at the appropriate time. He was talking to the young teenagers. The young teenagers, that's who he was talking to. He came there dressed. When I first saw him go to the store, I would not have believed that he was an owner of the store because he looks like somebody's just hanging on the corner. Now, as far as the trash is concerned, yes, that trash is out there, and it is his trash. The gas and electric company came there because someone called about the gas, so they did some work. I sent a picture of that. I put in a lot of effort in my community. I love my community, and I think it's so wrong. It is so wrong for people to come into our community who have no responsibility, no integrity, do not live there. And he wants to make money off of our community without an investment in it. This is morally and ethically wrong. We have fought to keep that corner in a good place. And it is in a good place right now. It really is. The young people don't hang out there. Now, another thing he said that he was going to sell eggs and milk. I sent you copies of the sign where it says grocery and deli. I sent you a copy of the sign. You went over backwards for this gentleman to try to do the right thing and get involved with the community. He's not going to do it. He is not going to do it. If he wants to do something positive, let me say this to you. Why not get with LifeBridge, the Baltimore Police Department, and why not try to make a community police office there? Why not do that? I mean, the bottom line is his store on Baltimore Street is not the best store. And I doubt very seriously if he's doing a lot of great business there. I will tell you this also. I know for a fact that he sells loose cigarettes. I know for a fact that he is going to be selling paraphernalia. I can tell you that. And I'm going to say this today. This is not happening anymore in our community. Every store in our community you could go out and visit, they're not doing the popular thing. They're doing the right thing. And we support them. Now, you know, we are seniors. I'm a senior. I'm 71. I get up every morning at 6 a.m. I walk. Different ones of us get together and walk. I look at my community. I'm observant of my community. I did my homework. I sent letters. And I'm going to say something to you. I scalded my feet. Second-degree burns fixing Easter eggs for my grandchildren. But I will tell you what. I have been at that store even when my doctor and my neighbors have said to me, Marion, don't go. But I've been there, and I've done my work, and I've done the investigations, and I've sent you pictures. And for him to deliberately get on the record and tell a lie and say the trash does not belong to him. He didn't even respect the board enough to change the signs. I sent copies of that. He took the sign, He marked it in black and put a 4 on it. And then he took the other sign down. And if you can look at my picture, it's right at his store, and you can see where it's down, where he put it down behind the grate. Then, after the director sent him an email, and she emailed me, he took and put up a new sign on the 26th of April. How do I know that? Because on my phone, whenever I take pictures or videos, it gives the date. So I'm saying to you that I'm not doing this from an emotional standpoint. I'm doing this from a community that I've lived in, I loved. I made a commitment to my parents when they passed that I would come and stay in this house and this community. And I'm not going to let someone who doesn't even live in the community. He lives in Randallstown. He had a store up there. He said that there's been no shootings in that store. Well, if you Google it, in 2020 there was a shooting, the same type of shooting that we had on the 17th. He took the lights down after the last hearing, and I showed a picture of that. He had these lights that look like kind of Christmas lights up out in front of the store. This is no. We cannot do this. We cannot. I'm appealing to you.
Okay,
if
ma'am.
he wants to open up a store, then why don't he go to the Inner Harbor? It's plenty of space there. Why don't he go to Harbor East? Why don't he go in his community?
We recognize he may have other opportunities or maybe other areas, but we want to just wrap up your comments at this point.
I'm so emotional about this.
I understand.
And it's one thing that I hate. I hate a dishonest business person.
Okay, I think you make your point very clearly.
Okay, so I thank you very much. There is the Payson Monroe Community Associations. There are different associations since Life Bridge and Bonds have taken over Bond Secure, and Bond Secure was there. The community works within them. And he doesn't want to talk to people because he knows people don't want to have that type of havoc, okay?
Are you a member of that community association?
Oh, yes, I am.
Do you know why? Hold on. Do you know why they didn't provide any information as a statement or a position from the community association?
Because I represent it, and I'm the one, when something goes wrong in the community, when something happens, I'm the one basically everyone comes to. Now, the people who have been very, very strong in it, they are now older and they're seniors. A senior is me. But I'm a 71-year-old senior, but I consider myself a 40-year-old senior. Because I get up, I go, and I do. Okay. So do not believe for 1 minute. And I will send you pictures of how we have given out food no longer than about a month ago. So no, don't believe that. Do not believe that for 1 minute. He hasn't talked to anybody because he knows the results that he's going to get is no. I tell you what about the community. Some have even said if he gets that store, they're going to contact Fox 45 and all the major Baltimore area news outlets. And Mrs. Burns has tried to do everything she could with him to prevent that from happening.
All right. Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, and I'm not being smart, but he will see what kind of community and association we have if he gets that store.
Thank you for your commentary, ma'am.
All right, bye.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Do we know if any city personnel have done a drive-by to see if this guy's doing work without a permit?
I do not know. I don't know what it is we have in the.
Yeah, I can speak to that, Chairman.
Go ahead, Mr. Penning.
So yeah, there was a DHD building inspection that went out last week, and there's some pictures from that inspection in the file. It does show all the trash bags, and and the HVAC in the toilet. And a work without permit violation was issued for building the deck in their rear.
Right.
And it looks like that work without permit violation has not been resolved yet.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
They say the permit violation is not, we have, you remember the permit violation?
Hold on, Mr. Bessie. Hold on. I'm not that back at you yet.
All right, I got 2 more call-in users, so let me just check
Go
them.
ahead.
Hi, are you here for 200 North Monroe Street? Hi, are you here for 200 North Monroe Street? And I'm just gonna let Nate Prettle, unmute Nate Prettle, see if he has anything else to add. Mr. Prettle?
Afternoon. Yep. Thank you, Mr. Penning. I'll be very brief here, and my name is Nate Prettle. I'm a land use consultant at AB Associates. However, in this particular instance, I had done some previous work in this community, and when this application came up, a couple of the community members had contacted me with their concerns, and I had offered to help walk them through that, and that's the capacity in which I'm president of this hearing today. I'll say Ms. Lavinia and Carolyn Claiborne, in particular, some of the ones that I've been helping out. And Ms. Claiborne lives at 202 North Monroe Street, directly next door. And I'll just add to the record that conditional uses, while they're presumed to be permitted, there's limited criteria for denial. And what I've seen in this application, is one of the rare instances where I believe that this should be turned down. And I would urge the board to do that. And it's really based on a couple things. One, primarily, you've heard testimony that this location, in particular, has created problems with this type of use. So it's really focused on this location is particularly bad for this type of use. And let the testimony provided by some of the neighbors, back that up. The other thing is the applicant himself. And we've been here now almost a year and a half, when every time we come to the hearing, it's not posted. There has not been any outreach to the neighbors, and the email Ms. Byrne had sent was provided Ms. Lavinia's contact information, Ms. Claiborne's contact information, and Ms. Turner's, and it seems like none of them were contacted. So between that, not contacting the community, not posting correctly, work without a permit, trash outside, I mean, there's really no indication that the applicant's going to be a good actor, combined with the already existing concerns about this particular use at this corner. It's not in the public interest. It's detrimental to the public welfare, and it's certainly based on the testimony you've heard, in contrast with the character of the neighborhood and the way that the vast majority of community members see it. And so I'd be happy to answer any questions, or otherwise I'll leave it at that and urge the board to deny this request.
Thank you, Mr. Prettle.
Thank you.
I guess at this point, we're back to Mr. Bissy for does that conclude all the other, anybody else who wants to testify, Mr. Penning?
It looks like that is everybody, yep. So I'll go back to Mr. Bissy now.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Bissy. You've heard from these other folks. You have the final word. And so we'll hear from you.
Hello, Mr. Bissy.
Hello?
Hi.
Yes, sir. You have the floor now. This is your opportunity for any rebuttal, or you have the final word. What else would you like to add, sir?
Hello, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Hello?
Ma'am, could you pause that sound effects, please? Mr. Bissy, can you hear us?
Yeah, I hear you now.
Okay, you have the final word. Have you been able to hear the testimony from the opposition?
Yeah, what I'm saying about everybody, I'm not trying to open the store to bring any problem in the neighborhood, and the store is not even open yet. We was working inside the store, and we now ready to open because there's nothing we can do to open the store. So the store was in a construction, and we was waiting on a zoning problem to be solved before we finish all the job we was doing inside. That was the problem. But if people don't like the store to be open, I I don't have to lie about police coming to my store in a Baltimore Street to sign a book. If they can send somebody right now, they can go. Is a book from police? I don't make the book. Police has put the book in the store, and that's not a lie. I don't have anything to lie about it. And I don't want to open, like I said, I don't want to open the store to give people a hard time. And I don't want to open the store to, it is something I was thinking it would be a help, not to make somebody not happy or anything like that. So I just wait on whatever the board decide about the store being open or not. But I don't have any problem with nobody in the neighborhood, and I don't mean to do anything bad to nobody. I respect whatever everybody says.
Okay. Thank you very much. Any final questions for Mr. Biffy? Anyone from the board?
No.
All right. All right, that'll conclude matter 2020-050. Moving on to matter number 2021-009, 3108 Preston Street. The appellant is Derek Shaw, and this is a request seeking a variance to bulk and yard regulations to use as a multifamily dwelling consisting of 3 dwelling units. I'll hear from staff and/or planning.
So this is being reheard from the April 6th docket. If you'll recall, this was a single-family dwelling that's being converted to a multifamily dwelling in an R6 district, which is prohibited. So we postponed the matter for the applicant to go back out and, if possible, provide any support for the fact that this was continuously operating as a multifamily dwelling.
I think that's what it is.
Anything from planning?
So, Mr. Penning, let me just confirm
Yes.
that the staff has undertaken some investigation here. I know that in the past, what we try to do is try to find the zoning card. So looks like for
Yes.
this one, we were not able to locate the zoning card.
Yeah, for some reason or another, there was no zoning card for this property, so we aren't able to confirm what its original use was. We can confirm that it's registered with the city's rental system as a 2-dwelling unit. It's not currently licensed with the rental property system. And then there are photos in the housing department's records indicating that that there are multiple egresses, and I'll just leave it at that.
Did you say it's licensed as a 2-unit?
It is registered as a 2-dwelling unit, but it hasn't been inspected, and it's not licensed.
Okay, gotcha. Thanks.
So we asked the applicant to go back out and see if he could provide any further evidence that it was a multifamily dwelling.
Okay.
Planning department's comment basically echoes that. The department noted it, the record we could have access to said 2 dwelling units was the last use. However, it apparently has metered electric service currently for only 1 unit, which basically raises the question whether it's physically operating as a multifamily dwelling unit or not. And the department fourth noted that there is a substantial lot area variance required to authorize the proposed use as 3 dwelling units. The department recommended disapproval of the application unless the applicant can document lawful continuous use of the property as a multifamily dwelling containing 2 or more dwelling units. If that cannot be established, disapproval would be required because the zoning code does not authorize conversion of a single-family dwelling to a multifamily dwelling in the R6 zoning district where the property is located. And also, if the multifamily use is established, the planning department also recommended disapproval of this application unless the applicant provides the board information establishing that the variances needed for approval comply with standards for approval of a variance as specified in subsection 5-308A of the zoning code. Thank you.
Mr. French, what year was it registered as 2 units?
That I can't tell you. I'm sorry. It's simply in the system that we have access to, but it doesn't indicate what date that entry was made into the system, at least not the part I can look at.
Hey, Bill, I'll see if I can get an answer to that before we finish this.
Thank you.
All right, so we have Mr. Shaw on the line.
Yes, and to answer your question, it was registered when I purchased the property. The previous owner was it was an owner occupied home, so it was not required for the registration piece of it. To help clarify that, so I purchased the home in February. The owner died last year, and I also provided letters of support to Roxanne, and hopefully she was able to include that in the file. One letter was from the current tenant that's there when I purchased the home. Also from the daughter of the mom that passed, that can verify and substantiate that it's always been occupied as a three-unit property, because that was her childhood home. So she grew up there, and her mom always kept that as sort of residual income. So I provided that to the board also, to Roxanne. And I canvassed the community, those who's been there for a substantial number of years, who actually can attest to it being used as a multifamily dwelling. It's a very transient area. So the one homeowner I was able to find, been there for over 30 years, and that's included in the petition as well, to substantiate the use of the building. In addition to the meters that was there, the daughter had the meter removed when her mom had passed, because they was uncertain what they was going to do with the property due to her passing. So once that occurred, they just had that removed and kept the tenant in there. Now the tenant is aging as well, so that's what prompted them to go ahead and just sell the home. And conversely, I brought it, and now we're this is where we are, and I realized that it wasn't properly zoned for the 3
Okay.
units.
Mr. Shaw, the mom passed away and the meter was removed. When did that occur?
She had, when I talked to the daughter, the mom, I guess in October timeframe or something like that. She was
You gotta
saying.
give me a year.
October
of 2020?
No, the mom passed away some time ago in 2018.
Okay, and the meter was removed, so there was only one meter utilized from that time.
Right, because the tenant that was there stayed. So they was trying to make it into a family home. That's why they was torn about it. About whether or not to maintain it or keep it as a family home, and a home required significant amount of work. So they was like, once the tenants that's there, Mr. Hargrove, which is included in a letter of support, he's at a point now he's looking to go to a senior building because he can no longer do the steps. But he, I spoke to him, I interviewed him, and that way I was able to get a letter of support from him to substantiate the use of the building.
So let me ask you, since 2018, there's been only one meter and there have been no other renters. There's only one rental unit.
There's been no other renters there because because they didn't want to they didn't want to do the repairs to the other unit.
So was I correct? There's been
Yes.
one meter since 2018 and only one occupant.
Right.
So it has been multifamily, correct?
Yes. Yep. When I purchased it, it came up as in the system as Mr. Barnes explained. It came up as the 2 units, but not the 3 units as originally sought. And I provided the photos of the meters that's there, so it's already there. The setup is already there for that purpose. I guess along the way, things, they just the home never transferred, changed ownership, or it's been in the family, I guess, for a very significant long period of time, from what I understood. Once I talked to the daughter.
And to Mr. It's significant what has happened or hasn't happened in the time since 2018. I suppose if it's been operating as a single family home, it no longer operated as a multifamily. And despite the fact that it's registered. It's not licensed as a multifamily.
Because it was owner occupied and that wasn't required.
Okay. Well, today, as we sit here today, there's 1 meter in property.
Yes. Because the home needs renovation, so I
understand. I understand
Right.
it needs work.
Right.
Just trying to find out these basic facts here. There's 1 meter, so there's 1 bill.
There is one bill for Mr. Hargrove, yes.
And that's been since 2018, correct?
Right, that's what the daughter told me. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you, Mr. French, can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Yeah, this description of what we're now hearing of how this property has been operated since 2018. I don't know. It sounds to me. I know there's a tenant, a renter, but it seems like it's operating as a single-family home with 1 meter and not a multifamily. Am I missing something, or is this how multifamily properties operate?
I think the issue in the zoning code might be, has there been a constructive abandonment of the previous multifamily use? And that would require some testimony about what is or is not any longer inside the building itself. Things like kitchen appliances, you know, if it had separate water heating, for example, or something of that nature, that each tenant was responsible for. Without knowing the details of the building itself, it's very hard to answer that question. But I think that's the thing that should be
Doesn't the
considered.
1 meter speak to that?
Well, the problem is we don't know what the 1 meter is covering in terms of what's being supplied in the building.
Well, there's 1 meter and there's 1 tenant.
Right. And I guess the question that I would have would be, how is the building being heated? And more specifically, how is his apartment being heated? Because obviously, to leave the rest of the building unheated during winter, when you'd offer the possibility of pipes freezing,
Right.
would not be a wise thing for any property owner to do. So without knowing if the electrical system is one in which certain utilities are provided by tenants and others are provided by the property owner, I'd have no way to tell.
Well, they just told us there's 1 tenant and there's been 1 meter since 2018. So I don't think it's really too difficult to discern what the issue is here.
Mr. Shaw.
Not necessarily.
Go ahead.
Not necessarily there, though, because like Mr. French was alluding to, it's possible that the 1 meter was used to heat the entire building, and the, you know, heat and whatever electricity supplied to the building was paid for by the landlord, you know, and rolled into their lease. So 1 meter doesn't necessarily mean abandonment of the multifamily use. Mr. Shaw, can you speak to the setup of the property inside?
Sure. There's 3 hot water tanks, one for each of the units, because they had electric hot water, and they also had the for the 3rd floor they had electric baseboards for the heating. And
How many kitchens are there?
3.
How many bathrooms are there?
3.
Is each unit one separate floor?
Each unit is one separate. Yes, ma'am. And each unit has their own entrance and own exits. So there's you know, for the first floor and the 2nd floor, they have a common foyer area, but they can exit through the rear of the properties. The lower floor has its own entrance, and it doesn't commingle with the other tenants at all, and they can exit through the rear of the property as well.
Okay. Is the electric bill, whose name is that in?
The tenants.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Do you know, Mr. Shaw, whether or not is there electric throughout the entirety of the building?
No, there's only for that particular unit. That's why there's only one unit there. I've been, I want to get it turned on, but I want to get through this process before I do, before I involve any sort of construction or do any sort of electrical services turned on into my name. So we're at a standstill at this point until we get clarity on the zoning and the right use.
So the 1 meter is billed to the one tenant.
Right. That's why we had the meter stacks are set up in a way everyone has their own thing going on. So no one's contingent upon another.
And the meter only serves 1 unit.
1 unit, yes, sir.
Thank you.
Right. Any more questions for Mr. Shaw?
No.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right, I don't believe there's anyone here for this matter in opposition, but I'm just gonna go through the call-in users one more time. Hi, are you here for 3108 Pressman Street? 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 That is all of the call-in users. And I'm not seeing any hands or anything in the chat.
And might I add before closing, what we do with we need the 1 bedroom units for homeless veterans. So I work with a lot of veterans agencies around the Baltimore City, such as like Project Place, Alliance, to end homelessness within the veterans population. So they need the 1 bedroom units for that purpose. So they can provide supportive services for them to transition to some sort of normalcy in their house, in their lives, and also have some housing stability. So that's what, the big push is, to create these units for them. So they not out there on the corner panhandling, and also providing them with, equitable housing solutions.
Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, that'll conclude this matter, 2021-009. We're going to move on to case number 2021-024, 3232 Bel Air Road. The appellant is Tremaya Lucas, Bubbles and Colors Learning Center. His request to use the premises as a daycare for up to 35 children. Are there any reports we have from staff and planning before we hear from Lucas?
The only thing I have is that this use as a daycare center requires conditional board approval, and the only opposition is from the planning department, so I'll let Martin speak to that.
Okay, thank you. The planning department reviewed this application. Did note that this is a conditional use. The concern of the planning department is that this property is located on Bel Air Road. It is a narrow row house type property, 14 feet wide. It's currently improved with a 2-story attached residential building. And the property is in the Bel Air urban business area, urban renewal plan area, which does not prevent or restrict the proposed use. However, the key issue is for 35 children, the safe drop off and pickup of children being cared for at that center. And given that there's only 14 feet of street frontage for this property, and that there is no place on the property to provide a safe drop off and pickup area out of the traffic flow of Bel Air Road, The department is recommending disapproval of the application in its present form because the property does not provide an opportunity for establishing a safe place for drop-off and pickup of the number of children proposed by the applicant. The department would like to note, however, that it would have no objection to approval of a daycare facility for up to 8 children at this location. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. See if we
It
have
looks,
Ms. Lucas available.
yeah, it looks like there's at least one person here support, but I will get Miss Lucas first.
Hi, yes, this is Shamira Lucas. So I'm just want to make sure we understand that you're saying we only can have 8 kids here.
No, that's not, well, we're saying that planning would not, planning would support a request for up to 8 children. The issue with the 35, as you may have heard, is the apparent absence of a safe drop off and pickup for that number of children, given the space that's available. Can you speak to that?
So we do have a parking space in the back where they could come through a back door, so they wouldn't have to drop off in the front on that main street or pick up on that main street.
Would say, would they have to park and let them out, or what do you said there's a parking lot in the back?
Yes, we do have a rear and a back door where they could park and bring their kids in and pick up, so they wouldn't have to do it on the front street.
How much space is provided back there for parking?
We have 2 spaces.
Okay, and how would they have to come out the same way they come in?
Yes. Well, there's 2 ways. They can go either way.
If I may ask, could the applicant indicate what the width of that rear access is? We believe it's just an alley, and stopping cars in an alley is not something the planning department would encourage.
Right, so it is a parking pad out back.
But the access to that parking pad is an alley, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you know how wide that alley is?
I'm not sure offhand.
Could you fit 2 cars side by side?
Yes, I believe so. I've never tried it, but I believe so.
Are you the owner of the property?
I rent.
How long have you had that property?
We've had it since October.
And what's the present use?
So right now it's not used for anything. We've been trying to set up a daycare, but we're not using it at this moment.
Okay.
Is it possible to, if we can use that space, is it possible to have the number changed to 15 kids instead of the 35?
Well, again, planning's recommendation is up to 8, given the current conditions, and I'm not sure that planning would be in a position to sign off on using that rear space, given the description that it was just given of it, for a pickup and drop off. How many staff are available for the site?
So we have 4 rooms if we use the whole entire building. So it'll be about 6 staff members.
And do you currently operate or involved in the operation of daycare elsewhere?
Elsewhere, yeah, yes.
Where do you operate, or in what capacity? Do you own another daycare center?
No, I don't. I work at one.
Where would your staff people park?
So they will park on the street. They will have street park.
Is it metered there?
No. But for now, we can take the 8 kids to get that. And then if I have a question, if we show the rear space and get the dimensions of it, is it possible to renegotiate with planning, or is 8 just set?
I think you'll have to come back here.
Got you.
We
Okay.
approve for 8.
Okay.
Get further approval, you're gonna have to come back before the board.
Okay.
Are you saying you're willing to amend your application down to 8 children?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Penning, we don't have any issue with that? Kinswell able to do that?
Yeah, the code doesn't speak to the number of children. It's going to be conditional board approval no matter how many there are.
Okay. Okay, but the applicant is now amending their request down from 35 down to 8.
All right, so noted.
Right. Any other questions for Ms. Lucas?
No.
No, no questions.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Lucas. Appreciate your presentation.
Thank you.
I'll just make sure that there's someone in support, but I'm just going to see if there's anyone in opposition. Hi, are you here for Bel Air Road? Hello, are you here for Bel Air Road?
Thank you.
Hello?
All right, thank you.
Hello, are you here for Bel Air Road? Hello, are you here for Bel Air Road? Hello, are you here for Bel Air Road? Hi, are you here for Bel Air Road? Just unmuting Kim Bostic now, who is in support of this project. Ms. Bostic?
Yes.
Do you have any, sorry, Chairman?
Good afternoon, Ms. Bostic. Go ahead, ma'am. We'll hear from you.
Oh, no, I was just saying that I'm in support. I'm a neighbor.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
All right, it looks like that's everyone.
Okay. All right. Ms. Lucas, if there's nothing else, we'll take this matter up at the conclusion of the docket, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Great day. I'm going to move on, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think we're on to case number 2021-033, 1501 West 36th Street.
Correct.
The applicant is, I'm sorry, the appellant is Adam Tawney, SM&P Architects. This is a request to renovate building that will include alteration to the roof, interior alterations for use as 5 dwelling units. And I'll hear any staff or planning that we may have.
Yes, so this is a application to renovate the building and use it as 5 dwelling units. To do so would require several variances. First is a minimum lot area variance. About 7,500 square feet is required, while the building is only 4,080 square feet. Would also require maximum lot coverage variances for all of the additions, would go beyond what is allowed. And it would require setback variances for the front, rear, corner side, and interior side yards to accommodate the proposed stairs and ramps and additions. And then finally, 5 spaces of off-street parking are required by the code, and the applicant is proposing that none will be provided. There is a letter of support from the Hamden Community Council for the 5 dwelling units, as well as a signed petition of support from 20 community members. And then I just have a note that the property was condemned by the Housing Department in 2012.
Planning Department reviewed this application, came up with a slightly different calculation of the lot area variance, but regardless, it is a substantial lot area variance required for the number of units proposed. And as far as the parking goes, there was a floor plan proposal or concept included with this application, which appeared to show 1 or 2 parking spaces might be created in the basement of this building, but obviously that would not meet the requirement of 1-for-1 parking for each dwelling unit. The department has no objection to approval of this application if the applicant can provide the board with justification of the amount of lot area variance required for approval, as indicated in another appeal which you just heard today. I believe it's subsection 5-308A of the zoning code. Thank you.
That's right.
All right, I've got a Logan McAfee. It looks like he's from the same architecture firm as the applicant.
Sorry, trying to mute out my barking dog. Bear with me.
Mr. Mahaffey? Maybe he's one of the call-in users. Hi, are you here for this property? Hello, 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 are you here for this property?
Hi, yes.
Hi, Mr. Mahaffey?
Yes. Hi.
Hi. Go ahead.
Good afternoon.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr.
Yeah,
Mahaffey.
and I
Go ahead, sir.
thank you. I believe Bruce is on the line as well. Bruce Phillips, he's the owner of the property. I think he's calling in as well, and he may need to speak or want to speak. But basically, this is an old building that's been empty for a long time. It was originally a duck cloth cleaning facility back when I believe the Woodbury duck canvas factory was down, near Falls River. And it's had different uses, but mostly wood shops or something ever since. I believe it has not been used since 2012. And Bruce purchased it and is planning to live in one of the units and convert it into a few apartments. The building itself needs some work, and he's just looking to better the building and make it part of the community.
Are you able to speak to the lot area variance that's being sought, extent of it, and why that much?
Sure. It's an existing building that's remaining in place, and the only changes that we're making to the outside is a few windows, just making the windows make sense for apartments, and we're going up like in a loft level for one of or two of the apartments. So there would be a new roof line, which currently it's just a gable right now, and we'd be adding 2 hips.
questions of Mr. Mahaffey, folks? If not, we can see if we can try to find
None from me.
Mr. Phillips.
I'll unmute Mr. Phillips now. Mr. Phillips, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me?
We can, Mr. Phillips. We could speak up just a little bit more, please.
Sure. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman of the board. Thanks for hearing us. I don't have a ton to add from Logan. You know, it's an original 1850s warehouse commercial building. It's never been used as anything other than light industrial commercial. You know, somebody did manage to get it zoned residential in the 1970s. But, you know, there's no indication on the interior that it was ever anything but, you know, shop space and workspace. We're just kind of looking to, you know, pretty much restore it to its original look. I think Logan had, excuse me, included a couple photos of some of the work we've done restoring the zinc cornice and taking a first shot at some of the first windows, but, you know, we're not trying to change the feel of it. And I think with the 5 units, if you look at the floor plans that are included, you know, they're pretty spacious. In my mind, we're not trying to jam a bunch of studio apartments in. The divisions kind of make sense of the way the building is already divided. We're not looking to change the footprint or anything. You know, just, you know, and I am looking forward to getting a couple off-street parking spaces into the garage, along with some shop space and storage. That I'm a carpenter, so, you know, I'm looking forward to using that in a selfish manner for myself, or at least half of it. I don't know if anybody has any other questions for me, or
I'm good. Anything from the board?
Good.
Okay.
I'm good.
All right. I think we're good, Mr. Phillips. Thank you, and Mr. Mahaffey.
okay, thank you.
There's nobody online for this one. Is that right, Simon?
I asked everyone already, so I think we're good.
Okay, and that conclude our docket.
It does, yes.
Right. Mentioned up front, to conclude our docket, we'll proceed to the deliberation portion of the meeting. And thank you all for your participation.